Hey, good evening, everybody. Welcome to If You Don't Like That. We've got the NBA, we've got NHL, we have nonsense. We got it all right here on this show. You want me to start with some nonsense? I can do that. Tell me if you just want to shake somebody's head. Because we're not stupid. Are we stupid? Are you, as a sports fan, stupid? Are you, as a Sacramento Kings fan, stupid? Are you just an idiot? Seriously, are you all stupid? Scott Perry is announced as the general manager a week ago, a little more than a week ago, but last week. His press conference was a joke, and I understand it. He's in a difficult position. I get it. All right? And I like Scott. I mean, I'm not bashing the guy, but I mean, let's just call it the way it is. How about this nonsense today? This statement from Scott Perry. Let's not have a press conference now. Quote, after careful consideration. Can we just stop right there? Do I even have to read the rest of the damn thing? Seriously. They lost me after 3 words. The first 3 words of the statement, you lost me. After careful consideration. Seriously. I mean, are we stupid? After careful consideration, I am excited to announce Doug Christie as the next head coach of the Sacramento Kings. I've known Doug a long time and have been impressed with his leadership, presence, and ability to connect deeply with his players. Here's what the statement should have said. Doug Christie was named the permanent head coach before I accepted the job as general manager. I came to Sacramento knowing full well that Vivek Ranadive had hired Doug Christie to be the next coach of the Kings, and I accepted the position as general manager knowing full well that there would be no consideration for anyone else as the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. There you go. How's that statement? Seriously. I mean, we're not stupid. Stop treating the fans like we're stupid. We're not stupid. And I told you exactly how this would go down. I told you. Did I not? Did I tell you exactly how this would go down? Exactly. Unbelievable. You want to do a good job? Get Jalen Brunson to come play for you. That would work. Hits the game winner with just over 3 seconds left. Say goodbye to the Motor City Pistons. Gone. Good year for them. They got a taste of the playoffs. They're going to be around for a long time. The Knicks win the series 4-2. Pistons lose the games at home. It's unbelievable. But give them credit. But the Knicks, on. All right, hockey. Vegas, they move on. Mark Stone with the winner. They will play the winner of the Edmonton-LA series. That game is in the first period. Last I looked a moment ago, it was 3-2 Edmonton. If they win, they're on, and it would be an unbelievably exciting series with Vegas and Edmonton. Do I think that the Kings can find a point guard? Yeah, but the question is who? All right, let's get to some phone calls. Let's stop messing around. Brian, You're on with Grant. Go ahead, Brian.
Hey, Grant. I echo your sentiments about Scott Perry. I don't think if Scott Perry did make a statement like you had said, I don't think Vivek would have ever given him the chance to be GM. What do you think about that? Like, if they had been transparent with each other and Scott Perry said to Vivek, "Look, this is what I'm going to say. I'm going to tell him the truth." I don't think Vivek would have given Scott Perry a chance.
This thing was botched from the very beginning. Scott Perry had been talking with Vivek for weeks. And as soon as the season ended, Monty McNair and the Kings parted ways. That same night, Vivek Ranadive, nobody else, should have put a statement out that we are moving forward with Doug Christie as our permanent head coach. A new general manager will be named shortly. That's what he should have done. And we, even though we may not have liked it, we would have at least said, okay, you know what? We get it. But instead, you have Scott Perry come in, have a press conference. One of the first questions he's asked about is the coach. We're going to make a decision in a week or two. My phone's ringing off the hook, blah, blah, blah. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense. Stop lying to us. Stop freaking lying to us.
It's a circus. I totally agree with you, Grant. Next order of business, I just wanted to talk about the Lakers and that Minnesota series. Little surprising, but when I think about it and I think about LeBron's age and his body of work and the weight he has to carry, I'm not surprised. Like we saw what happened in the fourth quarter over and over and over again. They gassed out. Luka's not in the best shape. So maybe as much as we want to bag on that Mavs GM, maybe there's something to it. Like his conditioning at 26 does not look ideal. Yeah, I can't hear you, Grant, but just go ahead and take me off the air. I appreciate you giving me the chance to call in.
All right, that should do it. Sorry about that. And I appreciate the call, Brian. It was a great way to lead us off. Thank you very much. Excellent call. Excellent call. But Luka's defense is pathetic. Just embarrassing. What's up, dog? How are you, buddy?
Doing good, Grant. I'm just coming back from a trip. I was in LA for like last week.
Yeah.
Over at the Magic Kingdom of Disneyland.
Good for you, buddy. Good for you.
But I was also keeping an eye on this NFL draft while I was waiting in line and stuff. And this draft class is so deep.
Well, we think it is. We think it is.
I believe so. Like a lot of team where I see, I'm like, how did this guy get here? How did this, like, I was constantly saying that to myself. And I'm just like, this class is just really deep with.
All right. Now, let me ask you, you really study this stuff, don't you? Because I don't study the draft like people like yourself. And the reason for that is a couple of things. I don't really get into the draft. I know you do and a lot of others. So I'm not coming down on you. I'm just saying the draft to me is not, I don't really care for it. It's too long and it's just ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it is a little too long that it's on from Thursday to Saturday, Sunday. And the first round takes up a whole day. I think there's no reason for the first round to take that long.
But here's why I don't analyze the draft like so many others. Because regardless of how much research you do on an individual, you never really truly know how they're going to do on the NFL field, because we've had so many examples of standout stud collegiate players failing in the NFL. It happens every year, and it will happen again this year. So how do we truly analyze the draft is what I'm saying. How do we analyze it?
That's a fair point to make, but there always are some guys that like are that guy, like Andrew Luck, John Elway, Peyton Manning. They were the like guys when they came out.
Yeah, I don't know if I would put Andrew Luck in that category, but he was good. But I wouldn't put him in with those other two guys. But I understand your point. I
Yeah,
get it.
like obviously, like he wasn't a bust as for like
No, that's
he
true.
got them
Great
yeah,
point.
he
Great
got
point.
them where they wanted to go
Yep.
prior to injury and no offense.
All right. So you studied this stuff a lot more than me. I'm a New York Giants fan, as you know. Abdul Carter, how good is he going to be?
This is a raw talent, just raw talent, because he switched to defensive end this last season and did very well. But he's got a lot of work to do, but just raw talent, he has it. But there's work to be done.
Okay. Why do you say there's work to be done? He was the
Because he
third
hasn't
player
played.
taken in the draft.
He hasn't played the edge. This was Abdul Carter was drafted more for potential than what than let's say what was currently shown through his body of work, because he didn't play this position a whole lot, but he played very well against very tough competition. He played very well against Oregon, played very well in the playoff. He played very well against Ohio State. Like he has the size to be a good defensive end.
All right. What about Shedeur Sanders?
Honest, I thought the Browns did fantastic this draft.
Okay.
Absolutely fantastic, because not only this draft, but they still have Jacksonville and their own first rounder from next year too.
Okay, but let's forget about next year for a moment. Let's talk about Sanders. Where did you have him on your board when the draft began? With all the quarterbacks that were taken, where did you have him slotted?
He was my second quarterback. My only problem with him is he holds the ball too long trying to make a play, and that just may be because his offensive line was bad, or just a bad habit from having his dad as his coach his whole career. But
all right, fair enough.
But other than that, he's got a good arm. He's got good arm. He has good legs.
Yeah.
He makes pretty good reads. But there's really not a lot of bad with his game besides just holding the ball too long.
All right. What about Jackson Dart?
Jackson Dart, I thought it was a bit of a reach for the late first round. I thought it was a bit of a reach, but if the Giants just didn't like what Shedeur was saying in the interviews, and they thought it was going to be a headache to deal with. Sometimes it's better to take a lesser quality player and not deal with a headache.
Oh, of course. 100, especially in New York.
Yeah.
New York, I think Shedeur Sanders would have been a disaster in New York. That's my own opinion. I think it would have been a disaster.
I agree. You have to be built for New York.
Yeah.
You have to be built for it.
Yep.
And honestly, all the Niner fans in here, you can come back to me, but you guys will love Mikael Williams. You guys will absolutely love Mikael Williams. He was a monster at Georgia, and when he played against Texas, he destroyed Texas.
Yeah.
And Texas has great offensive linemen coming out, great receivers. He absolutely destroyed, probably the most expensive roster this last season. Yeah. You guys will absolutely love having him paired with Bosa and Fred Warner on the defense.
I like the scouting report.
Game record, man.
Anything?
I like
Go
Patriots draft too. Patriots, they're really helping out Drake May.
So you like what they did? All right. Is there other than Sanders? We've already discussed him. Was there one player that you thought would be taken much higher than he was, and you think that team got a steal?
Oh, Arizona Cardinals getting Will Johnson in the second round. This guy was, if it wasn't for Travis Hunter, was the best corner. And this guy was a ball hawk. He's played against top level wide receivers against Ohio State each year that he's been there at Michigan. And he is he's played with the best. He's played against the best. And this guy when he was on the field, he takes it to the house. And getting him in as a second rounder as basically the best corner. Guess what? We saw that last year when the Eagles got Cooper DeJean, the best corners, to the second round.
Yeah, DeJean was good, boy. He was really good for the Eagles last year. Really good. Getting
good value picks, and also the Cardinals getting Walter Nolan Jr. as the D line. There's just a lot of teams just loaded depth, which is fantastic. I mean, the Steelers were able to get Jack Sawyer in the 4th, and he was a monster at Ohio State. Will Johnson, I think, can fit that Steeler mold.
What about my
no,
running back?
I mean, Will Howard. Yeah.
What about the new running back that's going to be a fan favorite with the Giants from Arizona State? Boo! What do you think?
Boo. That's where I think a lot of your offensive problems are going to be helped. Is Scadaboo is a power pinball back.
Yeah,
he can just bounce off all these guys. It doesn't matter the size they are. I mean, he played at Sac State. He went to Arizona State.
Yep.
And he bounced off, like Texas has, size no matter what. And he was bouncing off those guys left and right. He is a tough cat to bring down.
They're going to love him. They're going to absolutely. He is going to be a fan favorite. He already is, and he hasn't even stepped onto the field yet. They're
that's going to help Jackson Dart. That'll help Jackson Dart a lot.
Well, I don't think Dart's going to be on the field this year that much, but yes, eventually.
Yeah, having a great running game, pass rush. I think, like I said, a lot of these teams, it's just loaded up with just depth at key positions. It's amazing.
And by the way, you're talking about it's going to help Dart. I like the fact that he's not going to probably play this year, and I'm more in line, dog, with bringing quarterbacks along instead of throwing them to the wolves right off the get-go.
We've seen the Packers do this for how long?
Yes. Yep.
And the teams have just decided not to follow this.
Yeah. That's exactly right.
Yeah. It has worked from Favre to Rodgers.
Yep.
And Rodgers to Jordan Love.
Yep.
And it's been, 20 years since they've been doing it. How have teams just decided not to follow this formula?
100% correct. Love your expertise on the draft. We'll see how it all turns out. So, in conclusion, of the 32 teams, the team that had the best draft, in your opinion, is
Cleveland Browns.
Okay. Wow. So they're going to be happy in the pound, huh? The dog pound's going to be happy.
Well, they got a dog pound guy up front, Mason Graham. He destroyed Ohio State last year. Ohio State scored their least amount of points with this guy in their face. And then they got 2 running backs, Dylan Sampson from Tennessee. They got the Ohio State Judkins, the second guy from Ohio State. They loaded up 2 quarterbacks. They'll definitely get some quarterback that works. If it's Gabriel or if it's Shador or if Flacco works out, somebody will work because out of 5 QBs, somebody has to work.
All right. Now I'm going to ask you a different question before I let you go. Of the first 10 or 15 picks or 20, whatever you feel comfortable with, was there a player taken that you're like, oh my God, this is not going to work? Like that you were like, I would not have done that. This is really bad. They're going to regret this. Is there a team and a name that sticks out?
Carolina. This was a reach on Teteroa McMillan. He was an early second, late first guy to me. I think they really reached on this guy. I think I think he could be, a good, like third to second receiver, but drafting him this high, this is the dude. And I don't think he's that type of guy.
Riley wants to know your thoughts on Ashton Jeanty.
No, Jeanty, he's going to be with the Raider fan base. They're going to be watching him. Yep. And I think he's a very good player. I still have questions with the quarterback on this team, but they got Brock Bowers. He's going to be great. You got.
Well, Geno Smith's played well the last 2 years. In all fairness,
but Geno Smith is not the long term.
No, of course not. We know you're right.
But
do you like the pick for the Raiders? I guess is what I'm.
I think then maybe next year the next year's quarterback class is supposed to be better because if they get somebody that can ride this wave of Bowers and Jeanty with them and get 10 years out of these players, Raider fans will be very happy. It'll be right near the end of the game. Your goal Raiders, your goal is not to be good right now. That's also, do not throw panic, because you're dealing with Patrick Mahomes in your division. You got Josh Allen in the conference and Lamar Jackson and all
Well,
these
not
guys.
only that, you have an up and coming Denver team in your division, and you also have a Chargers team that's good. So yeah, I'm with you 100%.
Yeah. Your goal is not to be good right now. It's okay. You can be, but when the tail end of these high level AFC quarterbacks reach the end of their primes and they fizzle out, that's when you guys need to strike when that iron's hot.
Hey man, I love your. Do you follow the NBA draft like the NFL draft?
NBA draft is kind of a lot of there's always the high guys that that are gonna go.
Of course. Yeah.
But that are just can't miss guys.
You think Cooper Flag? Do you think Cooper Flag's a can't miss guy?
Yeah, Cooper Flag he's a really good forward, man.
Yeah,
like he can play defense, he can play offense. He's really good.
Hey, listen, man, I love your expertise. ESPN should hire you. Put you on the air next year.
Well, they like Mel Kiper and saying Jimmy Clausen is going to be a good quarterback.
Take care, buddy.
All right, later.
Good stuff. I love that. That guy knows his stuff, huh? Man, that's great. That's good. That's really good stuff. Really good stuff. Let's get to Zach. What's up, Zach?
Hey, Grant. How you doing, man?
Good, Zach. Thanks for calling. How are you?
No, it's awesome to call you. I'm kind of jumping in here last minute. I've been a long time listener.
Thank you.
Huge fan of you. I actually have a quick, very interesting story that you might like, man. I remember it was probably about 25 years ago. You were out at a demo day for hitting some Callaway golf clubs, or I think it was like a Titleist and Callaway demo or something. And you came out, and I was hitting the balls. I was probably about 9 years old, 10 years old. And you said, "Hey, man, you got a pretty good swing," and you convinced the guy at the range to give me the demo bag. So he gave me this big, massive, like Callaway demo golf club bag, and it really meant a lot, man. And I kept going and kept playing, and I wanted to catch up with you, and it's awesome.
That's awesome.
It's just you've done a lot of great things for the community, and obviously
thank you.
Impacted me. Been a long time Kings fan, and
thank you.
It's just just wanted to be able to share that with you.
And you know what? I appreciate that. That means a lot to me, man. And I don't remember the moment like you do, obviously, but I appreciate that. Thank you very much.
No, yeah, of course. And I'll call back another time when I actually have some sports knowledge to give you. But yeah.
All right, call back anytime. We'd love to have you on the show whenever you can.
All right, Grant. Good catching up, man.
Hey, take care. Thanks again. I really appreciate that. Bye-bye.
All right, buddy.
That's good stuff, man. I love hearing stories like that. And because, this isn't about me, but in life, right? You think about that. That was some 25 years ago. That moment meant a lot to Zach. But I didn't think of it that way when I made that comment. And I probably didn't think about it ever again. But yet he has remembered that to a point where he want to call up and reflect on how much that meant to him. And I'm thinking of the moments that I had as a young boy and some of the things that were passed on to me in maybe a very innocent way that impacted my life, that at age 65, I can still reflect back on and say, wow, I'll never forget that moment. Like I'll never forget meeting Marv Albert in Madison Square Garden when I was in 8th grade before a Knicks Bulls game. And I remember what I was wearing to this day. I remember what I had on. I remember exactly where I talked to Marv, exactly where I was. And moments like that can really have an impact on your life, both positively and negatively if it's a bad experience. I told you the experience that I witnessed at Cleveland's Municipal Stadium it was either 77 or 78. I don't remember the year, but it was September. I think it was 78 now that I think about it. And Reggie Jackson completely, for no reason, on the field with nobody around, 2 hours before the game, made a groundskeeper who was with his son in a Cleveland Indians jersey with a ball in his hand. Reggie wasn't doing anything. And the dad walked up to Reggie with his little son, who was probably 7 or 8 years old. And Reggie just obliterated this guy in front of his son with the F word. And I was just like, I guarantee you, that boy who's now a man and hopefully has a good life, if I could ask him about that experience, he would be able to reflect on it as if it had happened yesterday. So it's not only the good things, it's the bad things. And so I appreciate that, Zach. Thanks very much. Riley says, Napes, I love your story of meeting Sparky Anderson. It's a great example. That experience in that year of 1987, I believe, was one of the most, at the time, incredible experiences that I had ever had in covering sports. I was young. I was working part-time in Toledo, Ohio at $5 an hour whenever they needed me to fill in on the sports. And I went up to Tiger Stadium on a Sunday with my cameraman to do a story on the Tigers that had started off red hot at 35-5, and they won the World Series that year. And the game was on the NBC Game of the Week. And the Tiger Stadium was jumping and the excitement. And after the game, I had walked into the Tigers clubhouse to get some interviews, and I wanted to talk to Sparky, but I couldn't. I walked by his manager's room, and it was packed. So I'm like, well, that's not going to work. So I remember interviewing Alan Trammell and Lance Parrish, and I remember interviewing one or two other of the Tigers. And then as I was walking out, Sparky's door was open, and there was nobody in there except for Sparky. He didn't even have a shirt on. And I knocked on the door, and I introduced myself. He said, come on in, come on in. And he sat me down, and he said, I don't recall seeing you before. I said, no, I just am working, at the ABC station in Toledo. He actually asked me questions. And then when we began the interview, he said, let me put a shirt on. He goes, I'll put a shirt on. I go, well, you don't have to. My cameraman can shoot you. And he goes, no, I'm going to put a shirt on. And then fast forward to, I want to say it was 95, maybe a little bit after that. I can't remember the exact timetable. Maybe 97, whatever. Whenever I had Sparky on my radio show in Sacramento, and I shared the story with him. And he laughed and said, well, I've got a story for you. I'm like, he goes, I'm a Kings fan, and I really like watching you do the games. And I was just like, oh my God, and I'm just like stories and memories of experiences that impacted your life. I walked out of the Tigers clubhouse, and I was just raving about, man, what a great guy Sparky Anderson is. And that could have gone the other way. He could have said, oh, nope, too bad, you're too late, I already did it. And I would have said, man, what a grumpy, blah, blah, blah. But no, he made a positive impact on me and my career, giving me confidence to go and ask someone as famous as Sparky Anderson, and let's call it the way it was. I mean, guy's one of the great managers of his generation with the Big Red Machine and then the Tigers, and we can go on and on and on. It just had an amazing impact on me. Incredible. That year, that Tigers team, that team was so special, so special. And what's amazing was in July of that year, I got my job in Decatur, Illinois. I went from Toledo part-time to my full-time job in Decatur. It was the first full-time TV job I ever had. And the Cubs, that's the year they played the Padres in the playoffs. Rick Sutcliffe, Lee Smith, Ryan Sandberg, right? You remember that team? And that team was a wow because the Cubs had been so bad for so long. And I then ended up at Wrigley Field. So I went that year from being at Tiger Stadium and covering that team to the Cubs periodically going to Wrigley Field that I had never been to Wrigley Field. That was amazing. And I always tell the story. I was on the field before Game 5, Wrigley Field, playing the Padres. The Cubs, if you remember, won the first 2 games and then lost the next 3, and that was it. They were done. And again, I'm young. I'm just getting my feet wet for all intents and purposes. And I'll never forget, I got a one-on-one interview with Steve Garvey on the field at Wrigley before Game 5. And I remember it like it was yesterday. He could not have been more gracious, nice. You know, I mean, this is a huge game. It's an elimination game. I got Steve Garvey on the field, one-on-one. It's like, wow. You know, you remember things like that. I've had so many amazing experiences that I reflect back on, and the athletes that I've interviewed, the moments that I interviewed them, where I was. I mean, I talk about going up to Platteville, Wisconsin. Platteville, Wisconsin, August 1986. Bears, the Super Bowl Shuffle. I'm at their training camp. And I'll never forget, after the Bears practice, after Mike Ditka had done his media scrum on the field with the scribes, asking him if I could get a quick word. He's like, well, I got to go. He goes, you can talk to me as I'm walking off the field. And I remember my cameraman backpedaling as I'm walking alongside Mike Ditka, asking him a few questions, chewing on that gum, you know, as I'm interviewing him. And then I went into the Bears locker room, and that's the first time I had ever interviewed Walter Payton and Mike Singletary. I actually think I had interviewed Mike in the past, but, you know, I'm in there interviewing Walter freaking Payton at the Bears training camp in Platteville, Wisconsin. Could not have been nicer. Mike Singletary could not have been nicer. Like, you remember things like that. And I was only there for one day. You know, I'd come up to Platteville for one day of covering the Bears, and boom, went right back to Decatur. So, yeah, that's pretty amazing stuff. Pretty amazing. All right. Tell you what else is amazing. You're amazing. Your support. Appreciate it. All right. As is New Works Plumbing. If you want to talk about amazing when it comes to plumbing repairs and your needs, they're awesome. They've got a fix for you. They're available around the clock. Give them a call. Go to sackserviceplumbing.com or newworksplumbing.com, NEWWRXplumbing.com. New Works Plumbing, they've got a fix for you. You think that the Nuggets or the Clippers are going to win this game? Halftime, 58-57, the Clippers. And obviously, if Denver wins, the series is over. And you got to remember, well, it's now 66-59. The third quarter has just begun. The Clippers have extended the lead. You know, you have to ask yourself what the future of the Clippers is with their roster, particularly if they lose this series. You know, that's Got to ask yourself that. Got to ask yourself that. My old neighbor used to host baseball card shows, and I got to hang out with Steve Garvey all day long. Well, that's the only time I ever talked with Steve, and he just came across as just like a great guy. Great guy. Great. I mean, again, I remember it like it was yesterday, standing on the field at Wrigley. Hey, don't forget about Connor with Element Mortgage. You can give him a call by hitting that QR code, that one right there. A great agent from Element Mortgage who you can trust, all right, who has a ton of experience. And if you call him, if you don't like the QR code, 916-505-1006. Get in touch with Connor at Element Mortgage, buying a home, selling a home. His team behind him, over 100 years of experience. Connor himself has loads of experience. Give him a call at 916-505-1006. That's Connor with Element Mortgage. Appreciate your support. I always talk about that. We have a lot of programming coming up. Riley wants me to speak to Steve Sachs memories. It's hard for me to pick out one with Saxy because he's a friend of mine. I've known him for a long time. I mean, I always talk about the story of, remember when he had the yips from second to first, and I got to know Mickey Hatcher very well. Mickey's now a friend of mine that I've had on my podcast. And Mickey Hatcher, if you think back to the Kirk Gibson, Oral Hershiser, Dodgers 4-game sweep of the A's, Dennis Eckersley, game one, giving up the pinch hit home run to Gibby. Had it not been for Oral, Mickey would have been the MVP of that series. Mickey Hatcher was great. Great. And Mickey is one of the funniest people I've ever been around. Just hilarious. And Mickey played in my golf tournament for a number of years, and I was so grateful for him doing that. And, he tells the story about coming back from a road trip when Saxy had the yips, and Mickey was playing first base in the first game back from the road trip, and he goes out to the field, bottom of the first, and he's, warming up, throwing the ball to the second baseman, the shortstop, the third baseman. And he looks behind him, and there's like two fans in full catcher's gear waiting for Sachs to throw the ball into the stands. And bottom of the first, ground ball to Saxy, throws the ball over Mickey Hatcher's head. Routine play. And Mickey yells to Saxy, "Just roll me the effing ball next time, Saxy." And I asked that, next time I saw Steve, I go, "Did that really happen?" He started laughing. He goes, "Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah." It's just like, you hear stories like that you would never hear anywhere else. What's my take on Popovich and his attitude towards media members? It's really, I know Pop well. I spent a week with him in Serbia. And I've been around Pop in a lot of different settings. A lot of it is more of he's okay before and after the games. He hates doing the in-game interviews, and I don't blame him. But the media members that cover and have covered Pop in San Antonio, they love him. So it's, they love him. They do. They really do. They really do. Hey, folks, don't forget about this weekend, the brunch, prime seafood and steaks as well at Bennett's. Whether it is the Sacramento Roseville or the Westside Grill in Rockland location, go to Bennett'sRestaurants.com to make a reservation and more. Bennett'sRestaurants.com, prime seafood and steaks, Sacramento Roseville, and the Westside Grill in Rockland. Again, that's Bennett'sRestaurants.com. Have you had a good week? Everything going well? Again, I talk about that statement by Scott Perry today. Are we stupid or what? Seriously. Are Kings fans just morons? Are we stupid or what? Like, after careful consideration, that's how you start off your statement. Does anybody actually believe that? I guess that's the point I'm trying to make. After careful consideration, I am excited to announce Doug Christie as the head coach of the Sacramento Kings. After careful consideration. Amazing. Amazing. Sorry, 5 games. It wasn't a sweep. My bad. But the series, for all intents and purposes, ended when Gibby hit that home run. The A's just couldn't come back from that. But yeah, you're right. You're right. And I'll tell you, that's the other part of that is I was at, all right? Actually, I'm thinking what day of the week that was, but I was at the Coliseum standing next to the Dodgers dugout behind the screen, behind the backstop area, that before they had seats there. And when the Dodgers got the clinching out, the Dodgers come running out of the dugout, and I see other members of the media walking out onto the field. So I'm like, I go out onto the field because I got a press pass. I'm on the infield. I'm on the infield with the Dodgers, who I hate, celebrating, watching them celebrate the World Series. Now, I mean, how many times in your life are you going to be on the infield of a team celebrating that they just won the World Series? And when Oral Hershiser, who I went to college with, he was at Bowling Green when I was at Bowling Green, I was literally 10 feet away from Oral when they did the spot. Remember the MVP? Where are you going now? I'm going to Disney World, whatever, right? I was standing right next to him. Well, I mean, right next to him. I mean, I was close enough that I could hear what he was saying. I was just like, man, this is so freaking cool. That was so freaking cool. Never forget that. Patrick, how you feeling about Tom Thibodeau today, buddy? We had a very nice phone call yesterday. Knicks win 4-2. Now they got their work cut out for them. They got their work cut out for them. All right, I want to get on today, do a quick show, get you in and out. Appreciate all of you. Talk to you soon, right here on If You Don't Like That. Have a great evening, everybody, and thanks again. Bye-bye.